Okay, welcome back. In this section, we're going to cover query letters. I know we briefly mentioned them before, but we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty of them. Nonfiction and fiction query letters are going to be different. With nonfiction, you want to keep in mind the brief description of a book, the brief description of a market for your novel, and the brief description of yourself. And, one of the things you want to remember with both types of queries is that when you send it in, let it be. You have to be patient. You have to let someone read over it, take their time. People will give you an estimated time, I would say 2 to 3 months, but it can really depend. Some agents will get back to you about 6 months later. Some will get back to you maybe like in 2 weeks. So really, the website that the agent is on should specify this. But really, you don't want to be pushy. I'd say if it's been past almost 2 months, and you just want to give a quick heads up, like, hey, what happened? Go ahead, unless it's not specified in the author's website. The agent's website. Please give me just one moment. Sorry, dryer was running. With fiction, however, you gotta really, think about things a little more, I'd say. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to have that connection to why you're contacting the agent. Your plot summary, which is a brief narrative summary written in the present tense. And it's to get your reader to ask for more. So this is where you want to leave them on a hook. Like, CJ Patel is not just your average college student. He also is a caped crusader at nighttime, fighting bad guys and whatnot. But then, when he has a midterm on the day of the mayor's inauguration, where there's gonna be a villain threat, what is he gonna do? See, you get them hooked. That was a poor example because I don't fight crime, perchance. Maybe I do. You don't know. But you want to get your reader on this plot summary hooked. But here's some things you want to look out for, just in general, in your query letter. Oh, before I get into that though, I just want to mention, like the nonfiction query letter, you need to have a biography towards the end. A brief, maybe 1 or 2 sentences, that's fine. And even if you are a young or a first-time author and you don't have a lot to say, oh, I've accomplished this or that, it's okay. I use some stuff from high school on there. On my current one, I have some things I've done in college that might not have been big, like being in the honors program. Hey, doesn't matter. And, even my major. And it's like, oh, hey, this person's studying aerospace engineering. Why are they writing about Hindu mythology? It gets them to have a better understanding of you. And then send up a follow-up to the agent just to make sure that they've received it. Now, I'd be cautious on this because you want to be very polite and not aggressive. And, try to work with their assistant if they have one or a secretary and see if they've gotten it. But like I said, be cautious. Now, getting back to the more important part. Getting back to what to avoid in query letters. Is that don't misspell names. And I recommend you try to avoid sending them out in mail envelopes because we are in the 21st century now, and a lot of agents will only take email submissions. Some will take written ones, but then you have to worry about postage, you have to worry about sending it in, make sure it gets there, versus you send a quick email. It's a lot simple. Don't criticize other authors. That's a big no-no. It's not nice. You don't want to do that. Queries that state how much money you're going to accept. First of all, you're not making any money yet because a publisher does that, not you. Send only what the agent wants. Don't send more than that. If the agent wants the first 5 chapters, don't send the whole book. They will throw it out the window. Don't misspell the name of the agent. Simple? Quite. But it does happen. Queries that say how great your friends think this is, or that your mom thinks this is a great book. They don't care. They're just in it to see what your book actually is. They will base their own recommendation of the book when they read it. Proposals that smell like cigarettes. Unsolicited material. Queries that don't get to the point quickly. As you can see, that a lot of these things are pretty straightforward and simple things you wouldn't expect to do. So please don't do them, because I guess a lot of people might, and it's not a good idea. Like I said, you want to be humble and you want to be nice on these terms, because kindness goes a long way. Book proposals are another part that can be considered part of a query. This is more of a nonfiction kind of thing, because it'll come up. The thing with nonfiction is you don't even actually have to have the book written up yet. Yeah, think about like Eat, Pray, and Love, written by I think Sarah Gilbert, if I'm correct. She hadn't written the book, but she already got an advance before, and it's probably using a nonfiction query, I guess, or proposal. And usually the proposal is 10 to 20 pages. Cover part with title, name, address, phone number, 3 to 5 part pitch. Idea, behind the book. And let's see. Publicity, how are you going to market it? What's competing against it? Brag about yourself a little, yes. A detailed table of contents, sample chapter of your book. Attachments that show some recent media coverage of you in a hopefully positive manner. And then send off to the agent and wait. With fiction, it's going to be a little different, because you're going to send in the synopsis, like I mentioned earlier, that most agents will ask for. And that is usually not more than 2 pages double-spaced. And that has to really get to the point real fast. It used to be that you could get your synopsis sent in, and it usually covered about, I would say, I think for every 30 pages there was 1 page synopsis. I mean, there's a page for the synopsis. So let's say you had a 300-page novel. Your synopsis would be about 10 pages. But now, people, like I said, people don't have a lot of time, so everything gets cut down to about 1 to 2 pages. And this is something that will help you as well, is thinking about what the editor or publisher is looking in an author. Listen to them. Many of them have great ideas. They know the industry better than you do. Yes, on some things you do have to stand your ground and, explain why and why you're doing it. But, a lot of the times they have a good understanding of, why things are going to work out the way they are. Agents in your research. If you show that you've done your research, people are very impressed. It's like, you're a college student and you've done your homework, you get a good grade. Sometimes people will get impressed by that. Hopefully not, because you want to get good grades. But that is not part of this YouTube video clip thing. Use the things that you have for your advantage. So we're in the 21st century. Like I said, it's 2014, at least in this video. And a lot of us have Twitters, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Imgur, Reddit. The list goes on. And if you have a pretty good following and standing on them, you can really help, market your novel. So when the publisher asks, hey, what kind of following do you have? You can be like, I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. And they'd be like, oh my God, that's awesome. We can sell them to your friends. And you can be like, yep, I know. Think of a new way to share a story. What makes you stand out from other, authors? The quality. A lot of them are going to seek good skill and how good your work actually is. You can be, all razzle-dazzle and frou-frou, but if it doesn't have a good quality to your book, doesn't matter. And most importantly, that you don't want to just convince them you're a good writer, that you're a good storyteller. And that's from Biowski and Sander. And now we'll move on to the publishers themselves.